I have a story, if you don't mind, I could share.
Please, Father, please.
A homeless man came up to me and he said, I'm the happiest man in the world. We just had given him a plate of food and some clothing. He said, I'm the happiest man in the world. And I thought maybe there was something a little off. And I said, okay. Well, tell me why you're so happy. He said, because Psalm 41. I said, Psalm 41. He said, don't you know Psalm 41? And I didn't know it off the top of my head at the time. I said, well, tell me what Psalm 41 is. And he said, blessed is the man who considers the poor and the needy, for the Lord will remember him in an evil time, and he will help him in a sickbed. And he recites the whole psalm, right? I said, well, that's beautiful. Well, tell me, why does this make you happy? He said, because I help homeless people. And I told you he himself is homeless. And I realized something, that those who help the homeless the most are other homeless people. Because they know what it's like to be homeless. And they reach out to each other. So I said, tell me, how do you help other homeless people? He said, well, it was just raining and my neighbor, everything was wet, and she said, I'll do anything for a pair of socks. And he said, I had 2 pairs of socks. I was wearing a pair and I had an extra pair in my bag. So I gave her the extra pair and I said, well, that's really nice of you. But what would you do if you needed more socks? I just asked him, He said, don't you know Psalm 41? And then he recited the psalm again. Blessed is the man who considers the poor. I said, oh, yes. And then he said, every time I help homeless people, God gives me something much better in return.